Hi everyone, my name is Julie Jeffers. I'm the nutrition coach here at Mind and Body Solutions, and today I'm going to be discussing inflammation. So first, let's start with what is inflammation? So inflammation is an acute or chronic defense immune response to injury, illness, or stress, be it physical or mental, within the body. So in acute scenarios, inflammation is actually a natural healing response to cuts, infections, irritations, etc. The issue of inflammation occurs when our acute inflammation fails to solve the acute problem, and then in turn it becomes long-term or chronic inflammation. And so this is an issue because chronic inflammation is a risk factor for many major diseases such as rheumatoid arthritis, high blood pressure, heart disease, inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, COPD, asthma, type 2 diabetes, Parkinson's disease, and some cancers. So what contributes to chronic inflammation? There's three main categories. First is dietary choices. So our overconsumption of highly inflammatory foods is going to contribute to chronic inflammation. This includes ultra-processed foods. Now, let me clarify what I mean by that. So when you go to the grocery store, almost all of the food is processed because if it has been put in a package, like even if you buy raw meat, raw steak, raw chicken, anything, if it's in a package, it's processed. If you bought Brussels sprouts that have already been washed, that's processed. Same with lettuce, already been washed, processed. But they're minimally processed. I want you to look out for the ultra processed foods. And this is going to be something normally the things that come in a box, normally something where you look on the back and it has tons and tons and tons of ingredients, and you look at it and think, I have no idea how I begin to make that on my own. That sort of thing, like how would I make a Cheeto? How do I make a Twinkie? That sort of thing. So this is going to be a lot of your snack foods, the store-bought baked goods, cereals, snack bars. All of that food tends to be ultra-processed. Also, it would be good to stay away from fried foods, sodas, excessive sugar, margarine, soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, and safflower oil. All of these foods contribute to inflammation and just kind of exacerbate the problem. Additionally, environmental toxins are a contributing factor. So this includes pollution. Living in the Houston area, there's only so much you can do to avoid pollution. It just is a side effect of where we live. So don't stress too much about that one. But other environmental toxins can be found from chemicals within cleaners or personal care products or cookware, and then also heavy metals found in cookware, also personal care products, tap water, soil, etc. And then finally, the last main large factor that contributes to inflammation is chronic stress. This can be caused by undereating. So if you're having severe calorie restriction or just on a daily basis not eating enough, that can contribute to inflammation, or stress, which will contribute to inflammation. Over exercising. So if you're having hours of really intense exercise every single day without giving your body a break, that can be a stressor. And then also physical stress, whether it's what you do for work or any sort of thing like that, and then also mental and emotional stress. So we talked about what foods contribute to causing inflammation, but what about the foods that help fight inflammation? There's actually quite a few foods. So first and foremost, colorful plant foods such as berries and leafy greens, anything with like a dark, rich, vibrant color. These are high in polyphenols, which help to fight off inflammation. Additionally, extra virgin olive oil contains oleocanthal, which activates anti-inflammatory receptors within the body. So you want to look for, if you can, find organic extra virgin olive oil or organic cold pressed or cold extracted or expeller pressed extra virgin olive oil, but do the best that you can. Also, anti-inflammatory spices include turmeric, ginger, and rosemary. Omega-3 fatty acid rich foods also help to fight inflammation. This includes wild caught fish and other seafood, and then certain nuts and seeds like walnuts, for example, are a great source. Also, medicinal mushrooms like reishi, chaga, shiitake, and maitake. These help because they contain immune-boosting polysaccharides. Inflammation is an immune response, and so if it's prolonged, this is going to kind of help build up your immune system, help you to let the acute inflammation stay acute rather than being long-term and becoming chronic. Additional nutrients that are going to help are vitamin C, zinc, selenium, and vitamin D. So some foods include, for vitamin C, this is going to be papayas, bell peppers, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, strawberries, and kiwi and oranges. Everyone knows oranges. And then for zinc, beef, spinach, asparagus, mushrooms like shiitake and cremini, pumpkin seeds, and also oysters. For selenium, this is going to be Brazil nuts, tuna, shrimp, sardines, salmon, cod, mushrooms, and then some of your other meats as well. For vitamin D, this is going to be, again, a lot of your fish, salmon, sardines, herring, tuna, eggs, mushrooms. Now, this wasn't a extensive list for all of them. This is just ones I listed off, foods that tend to have a high concentration for the size of food that you're eating, if you know what I mean. Like if you're eating one thing of broccoli, even though it's small, for its size, it has a pretty high concentration. So that sort of thing. Additionally, foods that help fight inflammation are going to be your probiotic-rich foods. So your raw fermented sauerkraut, that's the kind without vinegar. It's going to be in the refrigerator section. All of these, for the most part, should be refrigerated since they have probiotics. So sauerkraut, fermented pickles, traditional fermented kimchi, fermented salsa, if you can find it. And then for the dairy products, this could be kefir, skyr, Greek yogurt, or any other dairy product that says it has live and active cultures. Though that's talking about probiotics. If you cannot do dairy, a lot of the dairy-free yogurt alternatives like coconut yogurt, nowadays, they still add in the live and active cultures. So that's a good source of probiotics as well. You just want to make sure you're not getting one with a lot of added sugar, because if your yogurt is super high in added sugar, if you have the probiotics, they're just kind of like cancel each other out rather than be helpful, because it's going to be fighting one another. It's like you have the healthy thing, but you have the unhealthy thing. So it's kind of, just neutralizing it, so to say. So I would look for ones that are pretty low in sugar. Additionally, miso and tempeh, these are fermented soy products. These are the only soy products I would recommend consuming. And then also kombucha is a fermented tea drink. This has a lot of probiotics. Again, watch out for excessive added sugar. Kombucha itself has to have sugar to exist. That's how the fermentation process works. But you need to look for how much sugar is added rather than just, like if you're looking at the label and it says total sugar, make sure you look at how much is the added sugar rather than the total. Again, if the total is super, super high, maybe pick a different brand, but it's more important to pay attention to how much did they add into there. One brand that's really good that I recommend is GT's kombucha. I think that's what it's called, GT. And it's it'll say Synergy. That's a good one that's pretty low in sugar. And so next I want to talk about the relationship between plants and food, because there's a lot of discourse on whether plant foods contribute to inflammation or they don't play a factor at all, this and that, depending on who you go see, what books you read, who you follow on social media. Everyone has a different opinion. And so I would say, in general, plants are great and offer a wide range of health benefits because obviously they have our vitamins and our minerals, our antioxidants, and our fiber source, everything like that. Plants are amazing. However, in terms of inflammation, some people might be more sensitive to certain plants like nightshades or whole grains or legumes because grains, legumes, and nightshades contain a protein called lectin, and lectins serve as a defense mechanism for the plants in order to fight against pathogens and protect the health of the plant. So basically, it's fighting off whatever diseases the plant gets and trying to help protect it and make sure it's able to grow in the next season, that sort of thing. And there's a lot of debate whether lectins are harmful and should be entirely avoided, or some people think that they can exacerbate inflammation or arthritis or gut issues, but then other people say, well, you would have to consume such an excessive amount for it to ever be a problem, whatever. What I would say is everybody is different. Everyone. We are all different. So it might be true for you that lectins do mess with your body and do increase your inflammation, and you should avoid them or reduce them. For someone else, might not be a problem at all. For some people, it might be a temporary thing, and then as their body heals, it's not an issue anymore. Everyone's different. So I'm not going to tell you to pick this one thing and never have a nightshade in your life or never have legumes ever again in your life. You have to listen to your own body and connect with how you feel and be very mindful of what am I eating? How does it make me feel? What's kind of the correlation I see here to be able to figure out what works best for you as an individual. So if you are thinking you might be sensitive to lectins and nightshades, lectin-containing foods, and then nightshades, which contain lectins, but they also contain something else we'll discuss in a second. There's things you can do. So for grains and legumes, the lectin content can be reduced by soaking them in water for a long time. About 4 hours or overnight would be best. So like if you're starting with dry beans or lentils or dry grains that you're going to cook, it would be best to soak them in water. So if rice or oats, whatever, soak them in water overnight. Whenever you're ready to cook them, discard that water and then cook them as normal. And that the lectins will leach into the water. And then if you're not using that water, then bam, you've reduced the amount of lectins. And then nightshades are one family of plants, the Solanaceae family. And the lectins can be found within the skin or the seeds of these plants a lot of the time. And then additionally, they contain solanine, which can be toxic in high concentrations. So that's why some people think if you have a diet super high in nightshades, that the repeated exposure to the small amounts of solanine kind of add up and contribute to inflammation. That's what some people think. I have no input on whether that's true or not, whatever. I don't have input on that. So foods within the nightshade family include all potatoes except for sweet potatoes, all tomatoes, eggplant, and all bell peppers. So not only if you are wanting to avoid nightshades or at least reduce your consumption of them, not only is it going to be all of those, but you got to think about other sources. So your spices and your seasonings like chili pepper or chili powder, paprika, cayenne. A lot of times curry will have, peppers in it, or think of your chili seasoning, taco seasoning, barbecue rub, that sort of thing. And then also condiments. So all your hot sauce, your ketchup, barbecue sauce, pasta sauce, those are all going to have nightshades in it. So if this is something that you want to be mindful of and you want to try to reduce, you got to think about all of those. And then if you want to try to reduce your consumption of lectins and or nightshades, the reason I suggest this as an idea is you might be thinking, man, I've already cut out ultra processed foods, fried foods, super sugared foods, all that kind of stuff, and you still feel like inflammation is a problem. It might be worth it to try an elimination diet. So this is one where you cut out foods like gluten, dairy, excessive sugar, fried foods, ultra processed foods, like cut out all of those first. Then on top of that, cut out your nightshades and your legumes and your grains altogether for at least 30 days, but longer, like 90 days would really be better. But just to start, 30 days. And then slowly, one at a time, you reintroduce, after that period of complete removal, you reintroduce one food at a time. So you would start with like tomatoes, let a couple days go by, eat tomatoes on a Monday, let Tuesday and Wednesday be no tomatoes, see how you feel, see how it affected you, that sort of thing. And keep track of that. Keep track of how you felt when you weren't having anything, and then pay attention, keep track of how you feel once you've added the one thing back. So you added it back, 2 days went by, okay, let's try something new. Don't keep doing the tomato. Now let's do paprika. You add the paprika, you see how you feel, that sort of thing. So it's long and it's tedious, but it could be helpful. There could be certain things that your body is like, nope, that one triggers inflammation in me specifically. I'm not going to do that. It doesn't sit well with me, that sort of thing. Or it could help you to establish that you have a threshold for inflammation, and you can have foods that maybe contain more lectins, let's say 4 days in a row, but on that 5th day, it's too much, and your body's like, okay, I need a break. So it can just kind of help you learn more about yourself, because ultimately, you're the only one that's able to figure that out. You are the one living in your body, so I can't tell you, you need to get rid of this, this, and this. I can't establish your threshold. It's something that you would have to go through and find yourself. So if that's something you're interested in doing, you're more than welcome to talk to me, and we can, I can tell you more details about it, how the process works. We'll get you started on that. But I would only really do that if if you're just curious, but 2, if you feel like you are sensitive to lectins or anything like that, it's something worth trying. But otherwise, don't stress over it. Don't fear vegetables unless you have a suspicion that they might be a contributing factor. But overall, they have way more benefits than they do negatives. Yeah, something like that. They have way more pros and cons. That's what I'm looking for. They have more pros and cons, so don't let them scare you. And if you do feel like you have a sensitivity, it's fine to look into it, and we can discuss that. So I hope you learned a lot about inflammation, what causes it, and what we can do to combat it. And I'll see you next time.